He was sitting in my chair. The very first morning of what his father called a new chapter. The prodigal son waltzed in like he'd been born to rule the place. Designer briefcase, tailored suit, ego the size of the building. He spun the chair once, dropped into it with a smirk, crossed his legs, and snapped a selfie. I watched the glass wall as his phone lit up with a post. Day one. Finally took over this place. I didn't say anything. Just forwarded the post to legal with a short note. Clause 7 activated. The deal was officially void. 2 years earlier, his father, Harold Grant, used to call me his right hand. Said it often enough that I started to believe him. Together, we turned a failing logistics company into a powerful regional network. I handled everything that mattered. Contracts, mergers, numbers, and the fine print no one else read. Harold handled the spotlight. He promised that when he retired, I'd take over. I'd earned it, he said. Fool that I was, I believed him. The illusion cracked during a board meeting. Harold introduced his son, Ethan, as the company's future. Fresh out of some overpriced business school, still reeking of entitlement and cheap cologne. He shook my hand like he was humoring a servant. Guess I'll be learning from you, old man, he said. I smiled. If you can keep up. He couldn't, but he didn't need to. His surname did the heavy lifting. Within months, I was being phased out of decisions. Projects I'd built were reassigned. My reports were reviewed. Harold stopped returning calls. Ethan started throwing his weight around, loud, careless, smug. Then came talk of restructuring, a new leadership model, which really meant, you're done. The betrayal arrived on paper, not in person. I discovered that one of the merger documents I'd signed months earlier, a deal Ethan had pushed through, contained a hidden clause transferring control. My own signature gave him the authority to take everything. Harold had arranged it, neat and bloodless. They planned to let me run things one last quarter, just long enough to train the kid. I didn't rage or beg. I poured myself a drink that night and read the contract line by line. And then I found it, Clause 7. It was a clause I'd written myself, buried deep in an annex nobody ever looked at. It stated that if the heir did anything to publicly damage the company's reputation before the transfer was legally complete, his inheritance rights would be revoked and control would revert to the previous executive, me. Harold never noticed. Ethan never would. And all I had to do was wait. I started giving Ethan just enough rope, encouraged him in meetings, fed his ego, made him think he was leading. He started talking about his leadership, his vision. He posted constantly. I let him, because arrogance always documents itself. When Harold finally retired and handed over the reins, everything was already in motion. The transition paperwork was clean, seamless, and one clause away from collapse. The morning came. Ethan strutted into my office, late as usual, chest out, grin ready. Dropped his bag, sat in my chair, and took that fateful selfie. Day one, finally took over this place. Public post. Company tagged. No NDA. Direct breach. Clause 7. Triggered. I sent it to legal and walked out. By noon, HR was panicking. Legal called 3 times. I picked up on the third. Yes, I said. It's valid. Section 7.3, cross-reference with 4.2, public representation of ownership before legal transfer. The post qualifies. Silence on their end. Then, so you're saying, I'm saying the contract is void. Control reverts to me. By evening, the board confirmed it. Ethan's post wiped millions off projected revenue. Investors backed out. His access card stopped working by morning. He cornered me in the lobby, face red, voice trembling with rage. Shouted about betrayal legacy and how his family built this company. I waited until he ran out of breath, then said quietly, "You shouldn't have sat in my chair." He froze. For the first time, I think he understood, but understanding doesn't undo consequences. Harold called that night. His voice was small, tired. "You planned this." "No," I said. "You did. You just never read what you signed." He didn't reply. Now the company runs smoother than it has in years. The air feels clean again, free of inherited arrogance. Ethan's infamous selfie still floats around the internet somewhere, A perfect snapshot of overconfident seconds before it fell apart. Sometimes I look at it, not out of spite, but as a reminder, revenge is noisy, precision isn't. And sometimes justice only needs one click.